Hello, dear friends. I'm starting a program. It's called Doing the Right Thing. It's something that I guess every one of us thinks about all the time. And sometimes we think we're doing the right thing, but then it ends up being something that backfires. I think it's human nature to have some room for error all the time. And sometimes those rooms for error are bigger than others. And, you can slip further into a bigger problem. But for having the kind of mindset to do the right thing all the time, I think it's shaping your attitude and your character to be able to do the right thing, and whatever field you're in, whatever you're involved in, whether it's professional or whether it's dealing with your friends or dealing with family members, your children. Doing the right thing is going to be part of your attitude and your personality. You're part of your common sense when you're doing the right thing. In dealing with your children, knowing that you were at some point their age, and you had certain thoughts and feelings, and now that you're not their age anymore, it kind of feels like you have certain things accomplished, and you can talk to them from a different perspective, but you kind of forgot how they think, how you used to think when you were their age. So it becomes a challenge, when it comes to being a parent and raising children, because you buy something very simple, and it comes with an owner's manual and user's guide or whatever. But you get a child that's got unlimited potential, doesn't have an owner's manual or a user's guide, so creates a lot of headache, obviously, and it becomes difficult to manage. So doing the right thing becomes a challenge most of the time, and so what we need to do is to shape up a character, shape up an attitude towards parenting, towards being a parent, and being able to befriend these people and being able to help them feel that they're individuals, and between an individual and a legend, there's a few careful steps that one needs to take, and you have to help them guide in the right direction. First of all, give them the ability to feel that they're individuals, and not always be thinking that you're right and they're wrong, because your times were different, our times, my times certainly were different. It doesn't mean that my times were better than their times. We sometimes tend to say that, nowadays all they're doing is on the computer and whatever. We used to go out there and play, and we had this and that. My son asked me, well, how come your parents let you go at the age of 19, travel all the way to Arizona or to Sacramento and whatever, and participate in surgeries? Weren't they concerned? Now you're telling me don't go here, there sometimes. You're so protective. Well, times were different, and I think those times demanded us to be more adults at a very young age. And being a new immigrant family in the States, it required a lot more. So I try to explain to him. I do my best, try to be his friend and kind of respect him in that manner. That he's an individual. He's a standalone being, and he has his own ideas and opinions and whatever. They don't necessarily have to be exactly like mine, and I would respect them the way they are. But it's a challenge. It's difficult. So as I go and as a young parent, I just turned 45 and my daughter's 21. We kind of grew together too at the same time, which is a blessing, I think, in my opinion. So you take the same concept of shaping up a character for yourself, and you can't change your essence. You are who you are, but shaping up a character, changing your attitude a little bit, changing your take off the conflict glasses and wear something else so you can see things without a conflict and deal with them easier. You take that same model and you take that to your business. It works the same exact way. So just like I said, the essences don't change. In Armenian they say eutun, essence. That to me is something very divine. The understanding that essences really don't change. Now, there's certain divinity in that concept of essence, in my personal understanding. So you take that same model and apply it to your business, apply it to your work. If you can, feel what a client is going to feel, or what your coworker is going to feel, how would they feel? I mean, if they're starting at a certain level, I get new agents who know nothing about our industry come in, and sometimes I just go into so much advanced stuff, and then I realize, like, well, this guy thinks I'm probably talking Greek or whatever. He's not really. We're not communicating. What's wrong? And I try to get back into that. Or, my numbers and my clients and whatever are totally different, and theirs are different. So unless we find a means to understand one another, they're at that junior state, and I'm coming from a different perspective of 22 years, over 7,000 personal clients. I have to have a way of communicating with them in order for me to make sense. Or, people, when I'm not talking to them in layman's terms, and I'm trying to explain to them what I know so readily. You can wake me up in the middle of the night, and I can discuss these topics. And here's a new family comes in. Well, it's my 10th appointment for the day, and I've been talking the same kind of things. I get tired and whatever, and I get burned out because they're asking almost the same types of questions. How many times can I physically repeat the same things or whatever? But you know what? I have shaped a character for myself and changed my attitude towards my knowledge and experience, and saying that, okay, so don't take your knowledge and experience, all of it all at once, and try to give it to somebody who's going to have a hard time taking all of that. Why don't you try to take baby steps and try to understand the person, where they're coming from, wear their shoes at some point, and kind of see what's the best perspective to take from that angle, right? What's the best approach to take from that perspective, I should say. So, and at the same time, you take that to your friends and friendship. I mean, you can have things pop up between friends. Like some kind of doubts. I think doubts are viruses, or being suspicions. Those are all viruses that once they get into relationships, they grow and they start attacking every single organism, and they start slowly killing them. So I've tried to teach myself to not fall victim of suspicions and doubts and everything else. Those are very evil kinds of energies that once they're in your system, they start ripping you apart, shredding you into pieces. And, there's always those people that will support that, right? Just like, they're saying if you've got certain kind of a condition, do not eat this, that, whatever, because your body would tend to get worse and whatever, it would react worse. So there's always these kinds of people that would fall into that, between that conversation between people, between friends. And if you have that virus of suspicion inside your friendship somehow, it's very easy for these guys to get in and to feed off of that, and when they're talking to you, kind of tell you that you're right and this and that, and that they're so horrible, and then they go to the other side. All these things, I guess, then at some point you realize that you've just collapsed the entire system because of something called a doubt or a suspicion, when you could have had. So there was, lack of communication. So two people didn't communicate. There was something that got in between them, and that something grew into something ginormous and ended up destroying their friendship or relationships or families or whatever. So those things need to be taken out. Again, what needs to be done? An adjustment of your attitude and your common sense, and basically that ideology of having that common sense versus, jumping in with all the emotions that you possibly can have with zero logic. Try to grab logic and have logic control your emotions versus, emotions controlling your logic and taking you into places you don't want to be. So today's topic of doing the right thing comes back to every single aspect of your life. No matter what you're doing, you have to have the right attitude and shape up your attitude. You can do that. It's very, very easy to do. If you're working towards it. Now, people are going to say it's not easy. Of course it's not easy if you don't want to do it. Anything is not easy. Even going and drinking a glass of water is not easy if you're not thirsty, right? So, but if you want to do something, if you're really, really devoted to getting something accomplished, there's nothing that's hard, you know, and things that are just easy, they just happen themselves, you know, without you having putting any effort into it. Those things are probably not that important, right? Like chewing gum, it's so easy. You could just chew. But what does it do for you? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, it's really bad for your stomach, bad for your system. So those things that are really, really too easy, that doesn't require brains, doesn't require much, those things are probably not, you know, out there helping you or helping you succeed, helping you get to the next level or whatever. So if you put all these things in the right place, attitude, common sense, you know, your character, shaping your character, you know, and you make that your being, part of your being and part of your essence, any which place you appear, you're going to be successful. And, you know, when I say successful, I mean, you know, among friends, among children, and this and that, you know, it has nothing to do with finances, right? Success has many faces, many layers. Depends on which part of it you're talking about. You know, and if successful person, to me, in my personal opinion, is somebody that feels accomplished, that feels that there's not people out there, at least not too many of them, that feel that you know, you've done wrong things or whatever. I mean, not everybody's going to agree with you. If everybody in the world is agreeing with you, something's wrong, right? So it's in my opinion, success is going to be feeling accomplished and not having too many enemies, basically, let's call it that way, and feeling that, you know, you've done the right thing, feeling that you could, you know, live your life pleasantly, you know, not you know, not changing your personality, you know, because of financial you know, success that you're having. But, you know, having that financial success not shape you, but you shape the financials in a way, in which way you want to have it shaped, not the other way around. So that to me is success. And having loved ones surround you, that's the most important thing. Having loved ones surround you. I mean, if you're successful, really successful, you think that you're really successful, but, you know, none of your cousins want to talk to you, none of your relatives, none of your friends, you know, and you've got a, you know, $50 million house that you're living in, but the only people that come to you are the people that are on the payroll, and they're, you know, a part of the crew or whatever, or they're just there because there's some sort of dependency on you because of financial rewards or whatever, but you don't have true friends really visiting you because of who you are. And there, you know, people have to ask you for things to get done because you're not seeing from their point of view of what they need in their lives for you to be that change that they want to see, you know, for you to contribute to the change that they're looking for. So, you know, basically, doing the right thing, it requires a little bit of change for everybody. But guess what? If you did that, if you made that your part of your persona, if you, you know, were able to then influence your children, your people around you, your friends, family members, and guess how much easier it will be to live your life, and how much more satisfied you will feel, because you will feel so much more accomplished. Thank you very, very much for listening to me today. I hope that you guys will write some things and write some comments and share some ideas and thoughts. What I said was my personal opinions, and they're not 100% right. That's just how I feel. If you feel a different way, help me understand your perspective and your point of views, and maybe that will change me. Maybe that will be part of my shaping my character and attitude and common sense and everything else. Thank you very, very much. I hope to talk to you guys very soon.